There wasn't one big moment that broke Finn. There wasn't a scream, it was sort of just a silence. Not a fall, but just the slow, aching weight of everything he couldn't fix. When we talk about Adventure Time, it's just fun and sometimes a little weird. But hidden beneath all the chaos is one of the most honest portrayals of what it means to grow up. And for Finn, growing up meant losing more than just an arm. It meant betrayal, rejection, and letting go of people who were never coming back. And the worst part, he kept smiling. He kept showing up, until eventually he didn't. This isn't about just one episode. It's about the slow unraveling, the quiet collapse of a kid who spent too long being strong for everybody else. And if you think you know Finn's story, you don't. Because the real heartbreak wasn't when he got hurt, it was what he did after, and how we learn about the missing pieces of his story. And the pieces, well, they're still scattered across the show. You just have to know where to look. So let's talk about the arc that didn't just change the character. It changed how we saw him. This is the episode that broke Finn. Act 1. Finn's problems with love. When Flame Princess first shows up in Adventure Time, it's not some grand romantic reveal, it's more of a rebound. In the episode Incendium, Finn is heartbroken, sort of. Finn and Jake are on the roof of the treehouse where Bubblegum is showing off her latest invention. Jake's head is in Bubblegum's lap and she calls him a good puppy. Finn tries to do the same, but Bubblegum tells him not to be weird. And this really hurts Finn. He really doesn't know how to process it. He's a kid trying to carry emotions that are too big for him. So Jake, trying to cheer him up, goes looking for a new princess, someone to distract Finn from his pain. That's when he finds Flame Princess. She's fiery, literally. She lives in a kingdom of molten rock and explodes with emotion. Jake brings her to Finn as a kind of romantic offering, and it works. The moment they meet, she scorches the ground with her footsteps, and instead of being scared, Finn is mesmerized. From the beginning, Flame Princess is more of an idea to Finn than a person. She's powerful, intense, and new. She's nothing like Princess Bubblegum. That difference is the entire appeal. He doesn't fall in love with who she is, he falls in love with what she represents, a chance to feel something again. In Hot to the Touch, we see the beginning of their relationship. Flame Princess is angry and confused, just trying to figure out how to exist in the world without burning it down. She doesn't know what love is. She's never had the freedom to explore those feelings. Finn, meanwhile, is completely fixated. He wants to prove himself to her, not by being vulnerable or honest, but by chasing her down like he's on a quest. Every time she lashes out or threatens to melt something, he sees it as a puzzle to solve, something that makes her more exciting, more worth having. They do eventually start dating, and at first it's sweet. There's real care in the way Finn talks about her. He's proud to be with someone strong and unpredictable, but it's not long before the cracks start to show. Finn doesn't really understand Flame Princess. He likes her, but he doesn't really listen to her. He wants her to fit into the mold of the perfect girlfriend, and when she doesn't, he starts to push her away emotionally in ways that feel innocent at first, but aren't. In Frost and Fire, things take a darker turn. The episode starts with Finn dreaming. In the dream, Flame Princess and Ice King are locked in a massive elemental fight. Fire against ice, destruction against control. The dream shakes him awake and excites him. He's not just dreaming about his girlfriend, he's dreaming about chaos, and for some reason, it feels good. I think we know what this dream really is. When he wakes up, he wants to see it happen again. He needs it. So he creates a plan. He writes a fake letter from Ice King filled with insults meant to provoke Flame Princess. He lies to her, knowing exactly what she'll do when she reads it. And she does exactly what he had hoped. She attacks Ice King. They fight in the sky, just like in the dream. It's dramatic and dangerous, and Finn stands there, watching, smiling. He's not thinking about how the Flame Princess feels. He's not thinking about her safety. He's chasing that thrill again. The rush of something huge. Something that feels like love, but isn't. During Fire Princess's rage, she starts destroying and melting the Ice Kingdom. Finn, realizing how far it's gone, saves the Ice Kingdom and the Ice King, confronting Fire Princess and telling her the truth. Flame Princess realizes what Finn did. She realizes he manipulated her into a fight, not for a good cause, not to protect anyone, but because he wanted to feel something. She doesn't scream, she doesn't cry, she just tells him they're done and leaves. And Finn is alone. It's not just that he lost a girlfriend, it's that he lost the story he'd been telling himself all along. That he was a good guy, that love would fix everything, that if he tried hard enough, he'd get the happy ending. But real love isn't about trying hard, it's about being honest. And at that moment, Finn wasn't. This is where everything starts to fall apart, where the boy who always wanted to be a hero becomes something even he can't recognize. Act 2, a chapter that was never written. Finn had always imagined his father as a hero, not just a parent but a symbol, a missing piece of his identity, somewhere out there in the vastness of Ooo or beyond. He believed there was a man who would explain everything, where he came from, why he was different, and how to become the kind of hero he was meant to be. That belief carried him for years. In the background of everything he did, that hope was alive. It wasn't just about finding his dad, it was about finding meaning, and figuring out why his dad went out for milk and never came back. Me and Finn are alike. And in the episode Escape from the Citadel, he finally finds him. The episode doesn't begin with peace, it begins with a chase. Finn and Jake grab onto the Lich and follow him through dimensions. They crash into the time room and end up being dragged into a strange ancient prison, the Citadel, a cosmic fortress where the worst beings in the multiverse are locked away. It's frozen in pink crystal, the kind of place you don't stumble into unless something big is happening, the kind of place where legends might be held. So when Finn spots a man inside one of the Citadel's cells, something clicks. He says the word without hesitation, Dad. He throws himself into the cell, and just like that, he's standing in front of the man he's been imagining for years. At first, he tries to stay calm. He asks Jake,
Do you think maybe he's a criminal too?
There's doubt in his voice, but it's small, just a whisper. The larger part of Finn is still holding on to the dream that his dad was trapped, misunderstood, locked away for some noble reason. That this was the moment everything would make sense. And then everything doesn't. It goes horribly wrong. The Lich begins corrupting the Citadel. His black fire melts the crystal, cells begin to collapse, and the prison starts to fall apart. Finn rushes to help and tries to free his dad, which he's successful in. And Martin Murdens, the man he's been waiting his whole life for, responds with just 2 words. Thanks, kid. He doesn't hug him, there's no recognition or relief. It's just a casual, dismissive tone. It felt like Finn had done something mildly useful, and that's it. Martin's first instinct is to just ask where the escape ship is. As far as he's concerned, Finn is just a guy who helped him break out of prison, and then Jake tells him he's his son. Martin shrugs it off, absolutely no empathy. While they leave behind a collapsing citadel, Finn tries to connect. He tries to ask questions and figure out why his dad left him, but Martin skillfully avoids every answer. He jokes and he shrugs. He suggested that maybe Finn was the one who left him. There's no remorse whatsoever. There's not even a hint that maybe this moment matters to him, and that in itself is heartbreak. Not that Martin is evil, but that he just doesn't care. Finn spent his whole life believing that his story had a missing chapter, that the man who left him behind would one day come back and explain everything, but that chapter never existed. His father isn't a lost hero, he's just a guy who made a choice and never looked back. Then comes the moment that breaks everything. Martin starts to run. He's trying to escape through a portal, and Finn grabs onto the shard he's climbing and refuses to let go. He yells and begs and tries everything to get his dad to not leave again. Jake throws a lifeline as the entire citadel is crumbling behind them. Finn's grass sword activates. It grows, wrapping around the shard, trying to hold Martin in place. It becomes huge, like a monstrous extension of Finn, but the pressure is too much, and Finn's arm breaks off. Not just the sword, but his entire arm is severed, ripped from the elbow, and as this happens, Martin disappears into the portal, repeating history. Finn falls, his arm, his father, his hopes are lost, and he lost a piece of himself. He lost a chapter that was never written. When Jake pulls him out of the water, there's no celebration, no lesson, just a quiet moment between brothers. Jake tells him it'll be okay, and Finn doesn't respond. He looks down at where his arm used to be. There's no triumphant music, no big payoff, it's just quiet, and that silence just sits there. And, while watching this episode, this moment really sank into my chest. There wasn't any closure, it was just, I don't know, it's just hard to watch. It was abandonment, again, but this time it wasn't a mystery, it wasn't a misunderstanding, it was direct and clear, it was personal. Finn had spent years imagining the man who would finally explain who he was, the man who would make him whole and tell him he was on the right path. And when he finally found him, he was met with indifference so sharp it cost him a limb. That's not just a plot twist, that's trauma, the kind that doesn't end with a joke, the kind that stays. Act 3. Moving on. In the episode Breezy, we watch Finn at one of his lowest points. He's not angry, he's not broken in a dramatic, visible way, he's just numb. After losing his arm and being rejected by his father, Finn is a shell of himself. It's one of the few times in Adventure Time where his usual heroism is completely absent. He's not fighting monsters or saving kingdoms, he's kind of just emotionally checked out, like a lot of you nonchalant weirdos. And the Doctor Princess tells him to have fun, to help heal the flower growing from his arm. But it's clear here, that advice is more metaphor than medical. The flower becomes a visual symbol of Finn's emotional state. When he's in his feels, the flower gets withered, vulnerable, trying to grow, and so he takes that vague advice and runs with it in the only way a lonely teenage boy might understand, by chasing validation through affection. You know, homie hopping, or being a bop. What follows is a string of shallow encounters. Finn throws himself at princess after princess, not out of genuine connection, but because he's desperate to feel anything. He kisses people just to see if it'll fix him. Lumpy Space Princess gets a whole subplot, and while it's funny on the surface, there's something uncomfortable beneath it all. Finn isn't being reckless for the thrill of it, he's trying to escape the hollowness he feels inside. Then Breezy shows up. She's small, overly eager, and completely in love with the flower on his arm. Not with Finn necessarily, but with the symbol of his vulnerability. And weirdly, she becomes the closest thing to a companion during this bizarre chapter of his life. She follows him around, cheering him on, even risks her life to save him, and still, Finn feels nothing. This is the part that stings. Not because she's a bee, but because Breezy is probably the first character in the episode to show Finn real care. Not romantic or physical, but just gentle attention. And he can't reciprocate it. He doesn't even notice it. That's how lost he is. Every kiss, every interaction is just a distraction, something to pass the time until he feels whole again. Eventually, Breezy consumes a royal jelly and becomes a queen. In this new form, she confronts Finn directly and confesses that she loves him. It's meant to be a moment of truth, a classic turning point in most stories, where the hero realizes what they've been missing. But Finn doesn't say it back, he just says he doesn't feel the same. That honesty is jarring. Most shows would have tied it up with a neat resolution. Finn accepts that love, everything is healed. But Adventure Time knows better. Healing doesn't work like that. Sometimes people love you and you still feel broken. Sometimes you're given the thing you thought would save you and it doesn't fix anything at all. And yet, this is when the flower blossoms. After weeks of searching, of pushing away real emotion in favor of empty pleasures, Finn tells the truth. He admits that he's still not okay, and somehow that moment of vulnerability is enough to spark change. Breezy starts to sing and the flower turns into a tree. His arm grows back. It's subtle but powerful. The tree isn't a reward, it's a reflection of something deeper. A sign that growth can happen, not when you fake it, not when you distract yourself, but when you finally stop lying to yourself about how you feel. Breezy is a strange episode. The tone of it is weird, it's messy, but that's why it works. It mirrors what healing actually looks like. You know it's awkward and isn't linear, it's uncomfortable. Finn doesn't have a triumphant moment, he just takes a step forward, and that's enough. It's also one of the most honest depictions of grief and depression we've gotten in Adventure Time so far. And that isn't because the episode says outright that the episode is about depression, but because it shows us what it looks like to lose yourself and then have to claw your way back all on your own. It's a problem that all of us will have to face at some point. It's a reminder that you can be broken and still heal. You can feel nothing but still be growing. And sometimes the biggest wins aren't about saving the world, they're about saving yourself. And just knowing that is powerful. Finn's story isn't just one of loss. It's about what comes after, about what happens when the person you were supposed to be doesn't exist anymore, and you're left to rebuild something from the pieces. Adventure Time never framed him as a flawless hero. It gave us someone who tried, who failed, who lashed out and made mistakes and hurt people he cared about. But the show never punished him for that. It let him grow, quietly and unevenly, like we all do. Watching Finn go through everything from the awkward messiness of young love to the devastating rejection from his father was never really about plot. I think it was more about reflection, because all of us at some point are gonna feel like we've lost something we can't get back. Whether it's a person, a dream, a version of ourselves, we're gonna feel that silence, and Finn walked through it for us. The beauty of Finn's character arc is that it doesn't wrap up cleanly. He doesn't find the perfect partner, he doesn't fix the broken relationship with his dad, he doesn't walk away stronger in the way cartoons usually show. Instead, he learns to sit with the hurt, to stop pretending it didn't matter, to stop pretending he's fine. And that's what makes it resonate, because if there's one thing Adventure Time understood better than almost any show out there, it's that growing up is complicated. Sometimes it means letting go of people before you're ready to. Sometimes it means facing the fact that the person you thought you were meant to become isn't even real. And sometimes it means admitting that you're not okay, and that maybe you haven't been for a while. But also, the show is about healing that can come. Not as some dramatic revelation, but in small, honest moments. And a bee who sees you when you can't see yourself, in the silence after chaos, and in the breath after telling the truth. Finn didn't become a hero because he was fearless, he became one because he kept going. Even when it hurts, even when he didn't know how to fix it. And that's what growing up really looks like. Not saving the world, but just learning how to live in it.